Welcome back to another one of my videos. As always, I find these stories that I read to you from different subreddits on the Reddit website, and I always leave a link in the description, so that way, instead of watching gameplay through the video, you can read along if you would like to. That said, let's get into the video. The Difference Between Monsters and Men, Part 3. Type 6, labeled simply as Homomelius, showed several grainy satellite photographs of a slender blonde woman moving in and around a white clapboard church. She had wavy golden hair and eyes that matched, but aside from the odd luminescence of her irises, I couldn't see anything threatening about her. Yet in a scaling system that ranked everything from most dangerous to least, corporate designated her kind as the 6th most dangerous, despite the fact that Type 7 was the white-eyed, flesh-eating humanoid puppets. Still, her profile was marked with the big, bold, high-value target etched at the top of the page, and I wondered if this had been the prize that Bronson died for. How is some random girl more dangerous than a bunch of howling wooden cannibals? I thought to myself. We're here. Ozzy's voice broke me from pondering, and I looked up in time for prickly dread to seep through me from head to toe. Squat wooden buildings sat around a fenced-in yard covered with old, dry sawdust. Various logs lay stacked in heaps, and a few pieces of heavy equipment stood frozen in between the piles, like rusted giants fossilized by the daylight. A leaning sign half covered by brush read Everwood Lumber and Beam Co. in faded white lettering. The dark windows of the sawmill gaped with inky shadows, and even as the Humvees circled the center of the yard like pioneer wagons, a chill ran down my spine. Alright, everyone, keep your eyes open and stay close. Aussie reached to the shoulder strap of his plate carrier and clicked the mic on his radio. Search team with me. Everyone else maintain 360 security around the trucks. Grunted replies crackled over the radio, and Aussie threw me a nod. Time to go. The sawdust muffled my footfalls, and somehow the entire yard seemed to be quieter than anywhere else I'd ever been. Despite the idling diesel gun trucks behind me, with every step I took toward the main building of the sawmill, the world grew ever more silent, like it held its breath in abhorrent anticipation of what might come. Readings. I need readings. For safety, I thought to myself. Fumbling with my gear, I dug out the Geiger counter and pressed the power button. Tick, tick, tick. It whirred and clicked in my hand, but the clicking didn't rise to the level where I would need the bulky gray gas mask that bounced on my thigh. Various LSAR research sites throughout the U.S. confirmed that high or pulsating levels of radiation accompanied by erratic electromagnetic readings meant the presence of an anomaly. When it came to such things, the newer they were, the more dangerous, as they had yet to figure out their place in the environment and were thus much more defensive and hostile. I scanned every vehicle in the yard, the silent cranes, the forklifts, even a rusted old pickup truck in the weeds. Clear. Ozzy and Rocco followed not far behind me, rifles at the ready. I doubted their bullets would help much if anything bigger than a Type 7 leapt out of the woodwork, but it was a nice thought that at least I wouldn't die alone. My counter cringed with clicks the instant I panned it over the nearby sawmill main building, and I suppressed a groan. You don't have to go in there if you don't want to. Aussie trudged up next to me, genuine concern in his tone. Our Blue Forest tracker hasn't worked since the county line, and there's no air cover thanks to the high altitude electronic interference. I could say we got lost, or bogged down in a minefield. It's your call. True bravery is being willing to do hard things for the good of others, I thought to myself. My mother's words echoed in my head, bits of wisdom from my childhood, so distant yet still so sweet. How I wished I could go back to being naive and innocent, back to believing my parents when they told me there was no such thing as monsters, back to the normal world. I'm getting strong readings. I coughed and spat into the dirt to avoid making eye contact with the sawmill. If the satellite images were correct, then I have to be sure. Elsie flicked his eyes toward the sun, as if already worried about how much daylight we had left. If you say so, let us go first, just to make sure nothing's waiting in there, yeah? At that, I didn't protest. We donned our gas masks, just in case, the men forming a small square around me, Ozzy and Rocco on either side, Tex and Crow to the rear. The others watched with grave expressions from behind their trucks as we slowly stalked towards the closest main door on the sawmill, without so much as a peep over the radio. Check it out. Tex stopped a few feet from the sheet metal door, and everyone froze in unison. Never seen skinnies do that before. The circle of handprints ringed a crudely painted stick figure, daubed in the same sticky black substance that always caused a stir amongst our researchers every time we put it under a microscope. To anyone else, it looked like black sludge, perhaps congealed motor oil or tar, but I knew better. Type 7s. I breathed through the filter on my mask, awed and shaken by being so close. They paint with their blood. Handprints mark an important place for them, like nests. So what's that in the middle? Rocco edged closer and poked his rifle barrel at the blurred silhouette. It had no face, just a blur of smears shaped like wriggling branches, and more twigs poked up over its head in a bizarre crown. Its arms were outstretched, like a god from the walls of some ancient temple, in long, thin lines like vines wove from its four-fingered hands to each encircling palm print, connecting them all in itself. A brief hum of static rippled through my head upon gazing into the picture's hidden face, and had to force a breath down my lungs to snap my eyes away from it. Not sure, I lied and focused on wiggling my toes inside my boots. Maybe some kind of territory marking. If this really is a nest, then there could be hundreds in there. Aussie growled beneath his mask, both brown eyes roaming over the dark windows, his gloved hands stroking the safety on his rifle. We should wait for backup. He reached for his radio, but a part of me already knew what would happen. Titan, this is Stalker 3 Actual. We are on site. There is evidence of heavy anomaly concentration in this area. Requesting backup in order to secure and clear the building. How copy, over? A stern voice blared through the headsets we all wore, cold and unfeeling, as those in charge always seemed to be. Stalker 3 Actual, this is Titan. Negative on the backup. All our available units are otherwise engaged at this time. Maintain your low impact status and continue observation. Titan out. Maintain our status. Fancy talk for please don't shoot the nightmarish creatures. We want to study them, even if they're gnawing on our bloody windpipe. Aussie swore softly under his breath, turned, and made a small slashing motion across his throat, before pointing to his left eye. As one, we all reached for the tiny cameras mounted to the mall webbing of our plate carriers and pushed the little power switches to the off position. This routine had been taught to me in secret, a tactic the mercs used whenever HQ wanted them to do something they knew was insane. It had saved the squad many times, even though it made corporate furious. Still, I wasn't going to argue. If anything, the camera switching off made me feel slightly better, because I knew what it meant. Right, gents. We're going to do a hard knock. Adjusting his weapon sling to give himself more room to operate, Aussie pulled out his rifle magazine to ensure it was topped off. Once we're through that door, your weapon's free. We take it slow, room by room, until it's clear. Got it? I stepped in line with the others as I'd been trained to do, fourth in the stack of 5, with my carbine pointed at the dirt. My job was to take samples, but it would be much easier to take samples from corpses than live, snarling beasts. If you liked that video, then like the video. If you're going to bed soon, sweet dreams. And if you have a full day ahead of you, I hope it goes well. Thank you for taking your time to spend on watching one of my videos on my channel, and I'll catch you in the next one. Ciao.